this is Haley with Modern Exterior, and today I'm going to talk to you about a pretty big common issue of birds and how they get into your attic and ways to prevent them, ways to get them out, and just kind of the steps you need to take to make sure your attic is bird free. One thing to kind of point out immediately is like, if birds do get into your attic, you think, oh, it's not a big deal, they're just nesting and they're just living their life, what's the big deal? The problem with that is once they do have an entry point, sometimes what can happen is they can chew at wires or they can move things around, move insulation, damage insulation. And what can happen is it could actually cause a fire or just minor damage to your insulation, and by moving it around and whatnot. Well, so it's just not a thing you necessarily want. So the main areas that birds typically get into a home are in gable vents. Usually on older homes, they can kind of fit through those slats if the mesh behind it kind of fell off. Soffit, especially wood soffit, as it gets really old and starts to rot and deteriorate, there's little holes kind of like this size that they can make bigger over time. In addition, they could also get through box vents. So kind of an example I can show you here. So a job that I just went to recently, they had the issue with birds in the attic and they just couldn't understand how they were getting in. And so how they were getting in is, you can see on this picture here, they were actually getting in through because there was no mesh. So on this one, you can see there is mesh here, and a bird's gonna try and sit here and nest here just because it's a protection from the elements. But what can happen over time is, because these vents are this mesh is meant to come off for cleaning and such, they can fall out, or just whether it's just over time or just the birds kind of messing with it. And then it just kind of allows this access into your attic. And it's very unfortunate because people don't even know. You might find this on the ground and not really think much of it. And like I said, the reason that they come off is because you need to clean out your vents, clean out the lins. So you kind of need that access to there. So that's kind of a few ways that they can get in. So what kind of steps do you take if you already have birds in your attic? So a job we recently worked on, there was a couple different entry points through the soffit. The aluminum soffit had just fallen down just due to being really old. So kind of how we worked with a pest control agent on it is we closed out 2 of the 3 entry points, and then we left one open that they actually put a door on that essentially would open for a bird to exit, but it wouldn't allow the bird back in. So, and then once they verified that all the birds were out of the attic and it was safe to cover up that lost hole, that no birds or babies would be trapped inside, we then just covered up that hole and replaced that section of soffit. So, I mean, that's kind of how you would have to work in conjunction with probably an exterior expert on top of a pest control to kind of close up those options and make sure all of the birds are out of there safely. But then if you don't have an issue currently with birds in your attic, how do you prevent issues from happening, or you notice a lot of birds are kind of nesting in a certain area? What deterrents can we kind of use? So it's very effective, they say, to use like any sort of like reflective, shiny piece of decoration. So whether that is a wind chime or a garden spinner, nice decoration, but also can kind of deter them away. In addition to like plastic snakes and owls can keep birds out of areas. Sometimes when you have soffit, you'll try and nest in little corners and whatnot, and overhangs, stuff like that. So you could try something like that, as well as scarecrows. And then they also say having dogs and cats can also help deter them a little bit. So just another reason to get a dog. So those are just kind of well-known things that you could do to kind of keep everything away and damage from happening. But also, you want to make sure that everything is kind of well maintained. So if you have older soffit or you notice soffit starting to fall, you want to make sure your roof is well maintained and your siding as well, and just make sure that there's no damage. So something like that, just make sure everything is regularly maintained and kept up with. And if you follow these steps to prevention to keeping birds out of your attic, or how to remove birds from your attic, you should be very successful. Again, this is Haley with Modern Exterior.